Great. Okay, so let's do a quick recap. So we're in Perek Tet. We're referencing from the Yalkut Yosef, and that, as we said, he does a massive job in Kibbutz Abaim, and brings Rishonim, Aharonim, and so on. Hi, Joe. Beautiful. Okay, so let's recap. So, hey, before you go inside, I want you to create the benchmarks. Let's create the benchmarks in our mind. We have the first concept is the concept of kavod, which speaks to the weightiness of a parent. So when I appreciate the weightiness of a parent, there are specific maaseh-oriented things that I have to do to validate the weightiness of that parent, of that person to me. And they're very practical. We have to provide shelter, we have to provide food and drink, and the core human needs. That's what the basic mitzvah of kavod is. Understand who the person is from the perspective of kaved, or weighty, and feed him or her food and drink, clothing, other creature comforts, bring and take. Very good. Okay, so that we got. That's foundation A. Foundation B, we know we have several different mitzvot related to Kibbutz Avayim in the Chumash. We mentioned that early on. And one of the other ones is the concept of morah, with an aleph, which means to be in awe. Some translate it to be in fear. That's where our translation is awe. So now the awe is separate than the kavod. And now the question is, what is awe? What does awe qualify? What does it mean to be in awe?
When someone comes into the room, it's a feeling.
It's a feeling. Very nice.
Maybe excitement, maybe respect.
It could be excitement, respect, reverence, right? All of those, right?
Fear, no?
Fear, yeah. Beauty. So that's awe, right? Now, so put in your minds, I have foundation A is kavod, quantifiable, action-oriented. B is morah, awe, or fear, which is more emotional, right? So now I have midoraita, I have an emotional obligation.
To feel something.
To feel something. Beauty. Okay. Now, okay. We did another extension of item number 2, which is my machshavot. Now, if we have an obligation to feel something, what about an obligation to think something? An obligation to act. Check. Got it. I have to use my father's money, my mom or dad's money. I don't have to go into my own. We're going to go into those halachot in detail. But first blush, I use my parents' resources to care for their needs. Okay, do I have to go into my own resources? Separate question. We dabbled a little bit in it just as an opening, but we're going to go into it in detail. But for now, we're going to hold that I have the obligation to use his resources. What if he doesn't have? Well, maybe I have the obligation to use some of my tzedakah, probably. And what about my time? We talked about that as well in very general terms. We probably have an obligation to use our time, assuming it doesn't cause me a financial loss. Again, these are headers for now. We're going to dig more deeply. So now when we move into the morah category, which is more emotion, state of mind, rather than it is action, the question becomes, well, what about my thoughts? Am I allowed to be mevazeh my father or my mother? Am I allowed to disrespect them in my mind? It doesn't manifest in any practical expression. Ham Yosef, what do you want to say?
I think maybe it goes together. Mind, thought.
It goes together.
With action, like it.
Right.
It puts you in.
Very nice.
The right
so
space.
very, very nice. So you're going to say, what are you talking about? I can't disconnect the two. What I think will ultimately manifest in what I say, in my body language, in my tone, in my facial expression. What I'm thinking will manifest. and therefore it's an artificial separation. There's no real separation between thought and real life, particularly in a love relationship, right? Your wife knows if you're checked out, if you're thinking about something else. She knows. Where are you? Why aren't you thinking? You don't have to say something for her to know that you're not there with her in thought, right? For example. So now we have a question about thoughts. We touched on this as well in the context of Morah. Again, we created a klalim, all the core foundational points we established, so that now we could dig into them. So now we're going to hold, like Joey said, that you know what? Hi, honey. Good morning. Come sit. You know what? A thought is a thing. Thoughts are things, and thoughts are real. So whereas al-pi halacha black and white, you may say no, but we also have a halacha that we can't be mevazbiz. What does it mean to be mevazbiz? To take lightly, or to denigrate, or to belittle. I can't be mevazbiz avoim. And if I do that in my mind, it's still a real thing. Yeah? Okay, beautiful.
Yeah, also by us, like we have a lot of things that, have this in mind, so we know it's a real thing, right?
Perfect.
Right.
Have this in mind. Why would I say have this in mind if it doesn't mean anything? Right. It's a real thing. Okay, beautiful. So now we have the thing. Nechakuva poskim. Go to Paratet, the first. Here, honey, come sit. Nechakuva poskim. Im shayach mitzvat kibud abeim bedavar she'eno ltzorech to'alato v'hanato shel ha'av. There's no to'elet. He's not getting anything out of it. He asks me to do it just because he wants me to do it, but on a practical level, he's not getting anything out of it. Like we said the other day, son, don't buy the field in Oklahoma. Right? Good. Let's keep going. Ukigon shomer lo al tikneh sadeh plonit or bayit ploni. Don't buy that field or that house. Don't buy it. I really don't think you should buy it. 1 second, Daddy. It's my money. It's actually what I do for a living. And I kind of think maybe it's a good short or long-term investment. What does that have to do with you? It's not going to impede on your money. It's not going to take my attention away from you. So why would you even weigh in on it? And if you weigh in on it, do I have to listen to you? Good.
Well, the problem could be that you cheapen your father's words, because now, if you, let's say, you take that lightly, and now he tells you, I don't know, let's go to this restaurant for dinner. You do the same thing, and then
Fabulous.
so on and so forth.
So give me, put it in a box. What box are you going to put it in? What box are you? Is it in a kavod box? Kavod. Is it a morah box? Oh, fantastic! So, Cham Abraham is being very, very machmir on this thing. He's saying that something like this, even though it doesn't have a tangible impact on my father's life, even though it's not in the 5 or 6 items that Gemara brings down, even though it's not,
It's kavod.
it's kavod. Okay, so this is a strong opinion. You hear it? He's making a very big claim. He's saying the Gemara mentions that there's 5 or 6 things. Isaac, yeah? There's 5 or 6 things that are quantifiable things. Eating, drinking, clothing, bringing, taking, shelter. Maran Shulchan Aruch brings those things down and says, those are the things that primarily define kavod. What Abe is saying is, okay, they primarily define kavod, but it's not limited to them. Shulchan Aruch didn't mean by bringing it down that it's limited to them. We're going to say that those are the benchmarks. I'm just paraphrasing what you're saying. Tell me if I'm stretching it too far. Those are the benchmarks. Those are the core elements. But you know what? Anything related to what my father wants is something that's important to him. So if it's important to him to eat, again, I'm paraphrasing. If it's important to him to eat, it's important to him to eat. And if it's important to him, for him to tell me, please don't do this, that's also important to him. And I would say, if I'm going to put words in your mouth, so to speak, if that's true, why is that any less under the context of kavod than anything else?
Right.
Right, his word is his word. What do you say?
This is
Okay.
yeah.
That is a position to take.
Yeah.
Good. So what does a rabbi want to be doing? He wants to present his opinion, and he wants to present the opposite opinion just as effectively. Tell me the opposite opinion. The opposite opinion to what you just said.
It's not his lane.
It's not his lane.
Right. His lane is, what applies to him.
Beautiful.
His needs, his wants.
Beautiful. His needs, his wants. It's not his lane, and therefore, give it from a lamdish perspective, from a halachic thinking perspective. You'd say what? Because it's not his lane. Yeah. There's no toilet for him. There's no real takeaway, no purpose. Beautiful. And therefore what?
He doesn't have to listen.
I don't have to listen. So you're presenting both possibilities. And the way to learn effectively is to be able to make a convincing argument on both. So I think right now, all of us, and I raise my hand just as well, can make a convincing argument that this is absolutely outside of the criteria that the Gemara is mitzatet and Shulchan Aruch brings. It's outside of those bare bones criteria of basic human need. We can make that argument, and therefore I don't have to listen. Hey, honey, how are you? I don't have to listen. Or we'll make the argument that what are you talking about? We brought specific examples, but we didn't limit it to those things. Don't tell me that if I brought those examples, it means nothing. I'm telling you what the basic requirements are. Pashut. But the basic requirements don't preclude anything beyond that, because bottom line, I'm talking about the welfare and emotional and physical well-being of my parents, and therefore you tell me why this is any different. That's the second argument. Beautiful. And if you need a kicker, if you can't make that argument on firm ground, because you can have other rabbis in the room who can say, listen, gentlemen, that's not what it says in the Gemara. It lists these 5 things. You're going to come back and say, it's true, Chacham, but you know what? What about morah? What about being in awe? Didn't the Torah mention that also? What about shelo the bazbez? Not to belittle? Didn't the Torah reference that also? So if you're going to tell me, Chacham, that it doesn't fit in the context of kavod, strict kavod, you're going to also tell me that it doesn't fit in the context of morah, with an olive, of awe or fear? You're going to tell me that? Okay. These are the arguments, right? It either fits under the context of kavod, or it may fit under the context of morah, of awe, or it may fit under the context of lo lebazbez, do not belittle, or it may not fit into any of them, and you don't have to do it, or it may not fit into any of them, and the only reason you would do it is because of midat chasidut. What is midat chasidut?
Above.
Above and beyond. Beautiful. Now, Chacham, explain to me your perspective on midat chasidut in general, and midat chasidut in particular in this case.
I guess, to put it in words, it's above what's asked of us.
Beautiful.
And it comes from a place of wanting to do more.
Beautiful.
Love more than the fear item.
Beautiful. It's love more than fear. It comes from a place of wanting to do more. And who's the primary beneficiary of it? The person doing it. So when you talk about midat chasidut, we're talking about a person who wants to bring himself or herself to another level of refinement and sensitivity. I want to build a different sensitivity in me. That's a very big deal, right? Midat chasidut is a very big deal, right? This is a page that you're on constantly. You're on the midat chasidut page, right?
You try.
How you try? No, I know you do. I know you do. I know. I've heard it constantly, right? And why do you try?
Because it's the only thing I think that could help you change character. Because it's like hard.
Phenomenal. Very, very exciting. This is a very important idea. Mitzvot in general, what's the purpose of a mitzvah? It's to change me. is to refine me, right? A mitzvah is purposeful. We don't know the reason. We make this diuk, and in English it's a little bit of a funny diuk because the words are very similar, but we don't know the reason for mitzvot. We don't care. God commanded them. That's why we do them. And we don't venture into that, right? Shlomo Melech said, I spent my life looking for them, and it really doesn't work, right? But we do know the purpose. The purpose of a mitzvah is to make me a better person, to make me a happier person, to make me...
People forget this.
Huh?
People forget this.
People forget
They
this.
think, oh, it's for Hashem, it's for
Right.
Hashem.
Very, very important, Joe.
It turned into like a checklist.
It becomes a checklist, and it might become somewhat mechanical and whatever. But if I understand that the purpose of the mitzvah is to make me better, then I have a whole different approach. I can't necessarily figure out the why. Cham Yitzchak, I can't necessarily figure out the why because I'm really bordering on a why when I try to call it the purpose. I'm really in the same zone. It's a little bit of a play on words. I can't necessarily figure it out, but I can figure out enough of it to make sure that I understand how I'm becoming better by doing it. And if that's true, which it is, now build to Abe's perspective, where Abe is saying, and I know this is a fact from knowing him, Abe is saying that my midah is midat chasidut whenever I can. That my reach, that what I want to communicate, my spouse, my children, and so on, my family members, is whenever we can go beyond, we're going to go beyond. Yeah? Why? Not for the other guy. Not for the other guy. For other guy as well. Right. But for you, because the purpose of the mitzvah is to make me better. Right. So to do it on a more saintly level is to make me betterer. More better. Right? Right? Always good idea to make up a word. You don't have a word, make one up. Yeah? It's always a good thing. Good.
So when we're doing a mitzvah, do we have to have the intention of change specifically, or do we have to have a specific...
Fantastic. So that's why we say mitzvot tzrichot kavanah, right? The mitzvot need kavanah, not do I have to know what I'm doing and do I have to be mindful, right? Of course, based on what we just said, of course I have to be mindful, otherwise what's the purpose? The problem is these days, in the last X hundreds of years, our rabbis say that people don't have a mindful perspective. And therefore, even if they fulfilled most mitzvot, the overwhelming majority of mitzvot, without kavanah, they still get a check. But to your point, I got the check for my mechanical fulfillment of the mitzvah, but I didn't improve and I didn't change. And that's what you guys referenced, right? This goes on all day long. Yeah, how could the person be doing this mitzvah every single day and he's the same whatever? He didn't get it. He's not plugged in. Not plugged in. That's, again, as Rambam describes it in the Moreh, he says that many people who are shomer Torah mitzvot, he looks at them as standing outside the palace, not in the palace, not in one of the outer chambers to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the palace, not in the closest chamber to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the palace, but outside the palace, facing the wrong way.
Who says this?
Harambam in the Moreh. Facing the wrong way. What are you talking about? The guy's doing it for all day. Okay, but it's not bettering him. It's not changing him. It's not finding him. It's not sincere. It's not intentful. It's not intentional. Good. So, to Abe's point, if we're going to say that the kavod that's demanded of vis-a-vis a parent, that we don't have to go, hi honey, we don't have to go so far as to say it's beyond the five things. Maybe it isn't, yeah? Maybe we're going to slide it into the category of morah. Mars, you with me? Maybe we're going to slide it into the category of morah. Maybe we're going to slide it into the category of lifnim mishurat hadin, midat chasidut. Abe would hold sitting in the Beit HaMidrash. He says, gentlemen, students, I want to tell you something. Even if we can't prove based on the Gemara that we cited and the Shulchan Aruch that we mentioned, we're going to talk about a number of other Rishonim and Acharonim now, even so, he says, I'm going to hold that I would hold, I'm paraphrasing Abe, stop me, that we're going to consider the alta needs of a parent, the emotional needs of a parent in the context of morah, of fear or awe. And gentlemen, I'm telling you, as the Rosh Kollel in this place, as the Rosh Yeshiva, what I want from you, you're saying what I want from my family, right? What we want from our families, and we should say this loud and clear to our children, all of us, what we want from our children is to understand that morah is no less important than kavod, and morah is not black and white, and it's absolutely gray, and it's all about the gray, right?
I like what we said yesterday. We're going to bring back the awe.
We're going to bring back the awe. Beautiful, Joe. That should be our swan song. We're going to trademark it. We're going to bring back the awe. The truth, that's exactly what it should be.
That's my favorite phrase.
That's
The awe. Because I think the awe will will get you to AB's way.
I completely agree. I completely agree. And what we should think about, just parenthetically, offline, I know I have my education builder in the back row here, Hamel Vajah. What we should be thinking about is how we bring this back into our educational system, into our learning systems, and anything. And maybe that's the cheer, bring back the awe.
I think a clear distinction is that awe comes from love and respect, as opposed to fear, which comes from a negative source.
Could be, it could be. But I think where they're going, I want to hold that nobody even thinks about awe.
Oh, agreed.
Yeah. My only challenge with the tagline of bring back the awe is, did we have it? The truth is we had it. We did have it. When we were kids, we had it. We had it. My mother raised her hand once. She raised her hand, like with a threat-ish that she was going to do something. My brother Jeff and I, we started hysterical crying. My father, Allah Shalom, you guys probably had something. My father, Chacham, never raised his voice. He spoke in a whisper.
He didn't have to.
He spoke in a whisper. Jeff and I, my younger brother and I, we were like the second tranche of the family, right? We got away with murder, generally speaking. Jeff and I were sitting at the table once bickering, like brothers would bicker, 2 years apart, going at each other. My father raised his voice from a whisper to like now, we started hysterical crying. No exaggeration. Ask Jeff now, it's a long time ago. He'll tell you the same story. He didn't scream. He just raised it to a lower voice than I'm saying now. We were hysterical crying.
They didn't have to.
Yeah, they didn't have to.
We had built in, because we watched them with their parents.
We watched them
and
with their
parents. They were even at a higher level.
Right.
So
bring back the awe. That's going to be our battle cry.
Diluted over time.
That's right. And we got diluted with Western values like, I'm my son's friend. You're not your son's friend. Where did that come from? My son and I are best friends. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? That's a desecration. And by the way, who pays the price, your son? More than us. Our children pay the price.
He never
Okay.
learns that relationship.
Huh?
He never
Right.
learns the
That's
proper
right.
relationship. And probably ultimately, it's even harder to have a relationship with Hashem if you don't know those parameters
Beautiful.
to have it with your parents.
Beautiful. I think that's right. I think if you can't base it in a human relationship, you can't possibly do it right otherwise. Okay. Let's go with a few other examples. Let's say somebody goes ahead. They bring a story in Masechet Pesachim where a rabbi was asked by his father to do something for him. A rabbi was asked by his father to do something for him outside of the context of the 5 things that we've been talking about, right? Shelter, food, this, that. And the rabbi went and sent somebody to do it on his behalf for his father. Yeah? Reuven, okay. Yaakov asked his son Reuven to do something for him, yeah? Reuven goes and sends Yoshua, a friend, to do it on his behalf for his father. What do you want to say about that?
It's like Eddie's driver, no?
Yeah, it's the driver. Beauty, to Eddie's point, yeah. But in this case, the driver is Jewish. Yeah? What do you say, Chacham?
What's the request?
Huh?
What's the request?
The request is to drive him to the grocery store. Did the person fulfill Kibud Avayim? Did he have an obligation? Question A. Did he fulfill it? Question B. By having another person do it. So build it to me. Build it for me. Come on.
I love it when he fulfilled it. He said the shaliach on his back.
Fantastic. So beautiful. So you need to give me more. If you're going to hold that there was a chiyuv to do it, there was an obligation to do it, check that box for me. Yes or no?
Yes.
Where are you holding? You're holding that there was an obligation to do it even though it's outside of the core 5 or 6 things, yeah? Beautiful. So Chama is saying there's an obligation to do it, yeah? And because there's an obligation to do it, therefore what? He handed it off to another Jewish guy, therefore what?
He established him as himself. He sent him as a messenger. A shaliach.
He sent a messenger. And when you send a shaliach for a Dvar Mitzvah, what's the story?
You get the credit because if you did it.
Yeah, beautiful. So shulcho shel adam kemoto, nachon, right? My shaliach is like me. But pause. Now work it for me a little bit. If you're going to say that it's a mitzvah, then I had an obligation to do it, and I can appoint somebody else to do it for me. Beauty. We check the boxes. Everything's cool, right? If we're going to say it's not a mitzvah, right? Again, I didn't have to do it. I asked the other guy to do it. No problem. I did something nice. Right? But now our rabbis bring something else.
Are you allowed to give a shaliach to deliver mishloach manot for you?
Huh? Who said that?
Me.
Oh, hi. Yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah. So,
Yeah.
And it's fully...
Yeah, shlucho shel adam kemoto. But I'm going to bring you something here that that he's quoting from Abaye from... I'm not sure which Gemara. I think it might be from Pesachim as well, where it says, from Kiddushim, he says, "De bechol duchta amrinan de mitzvah bo yoter mi beshilucho." Meaning what?
The mitzvah is more upon him than his messenger.
Very, very nice. So now build it for me. Build it for me. Come on, nice and loud. Do I have an obligation? You're holding what? Does the person have an obligation to do it? Yes. Has an obligation to it. Beautiful. Because he has an obligation to do it, he can appoint a shaliach, somebody, a surrogate, to do it for him, right? Shulucho shel adam kemoto, yeah? So if I have an obligation to do it and I send Yoshua to do it, it's cool because he did it on my behalf. He's totally aligned with me halachically, and I fulfilled it, right? Good. Black and white, great. If I didn't have an obligation to do it, it's something nice. It's not a mitzvah. Yoshua did something nice for me, and I did something nice for Daddy, and that's all cool, but I didn't fulfill a mitzvah, right? Or maybe because it's not a mitzvah, because I asked Yoshua to do it, maybe what he did has no value. But then I'm outside of the context of mitzvah anyway, I don't have to worry about it. But go back to the main point that I think wanted to be brought from here, that shlucho shel adam kemoto, but it ain't the same. Right, Joe?
Different levels.
It's a different level. Beautiful. And therefore, what would you say, Chaim Yitzchak? You would say that if I have an outright Doraita obligation to do this, which I may not, but if I do, I'm probably not going to ask a shaliach to do it.
What if the shaliach is
Because-
better than me?
Huh?
What if the shaliach is better than me in this regard?
No problem. He could be better than me, but it ain't the same as me doing it. I took my time, I took my attention, I put my thing into it. It's not the same. Okay, did I check the box? 100% check the box. Okay, so what does this leave me? It doesn't move me really in one direction or another, but it does tell me if I didn't have an obligation, he didn't do anything. If I did have an obligation, doing it with him as my surrogate is okay. It means something, but it doesn't mean the same thing as if I did it. Good. Okay, so another small piece.
How do we build that from black and white?
Huh?
How do you, if the chiyuv, if the person has a chiyuv, we send the messenger, he fulfilled it. From the black and white side of halakha, how do you build that the messenger is not the same as the person?
That's what we'll hope. Why wouldn't it? How could he be? Go back to the point we mentioned a few minutes ago. The purpose of the mitzvah is to better me. There's a to'elet, there's a purpose, there's a takeaway. So will I fully realize that takeaway if Moshe does it on my behalf?
I can say that about any mitzvah.
Exactly. That's it. Perfect. You said it perfectly. That's exactly the point.
And there's a higher level to do every one.
Perfect. That's exactly the point. And why am I bringing it in here? Because we're in this place of hierarchies, right? We're in a place of hierarchies. Do I have to do it? Should I do it? How should I do it? Yeah. So if we're in a place of hierarchies, if we're going to go back and say that this relates to kavod or mora, right? It's in that place. That would mean that it's of the highest level mitzvot that a person is commanded to do, which would mean I don't want to do it in a drop-down fashion by having Mr. Jones, do it for me. Mr. Jewish Jones, do it for me, right? I don't want to have him do it. Because I'm holding that it's a top tier. Because I know that the purpose of it is for me to change. So the nuance that we're adding here just is that Shlucho shel Adam Kemoto, but. And what's the but? Because I didn't fully engage the mitzvah, I didn't get the full benefit, the transformative benefit of it, and therefore I didn't take all the takeaway from it, and therefore if I'm talking about Kibbud Av V'em, which is one of the greatest mitzvot, the most demanding, I want to do it myself.
This is a very sensitive thing. Like when you do something for a parent, right? The feeling they're getting when their son comes or their daughter comes to do something for them is such a great feeling.
It's the greatest.
I remember taking, sometimes we would take our parent to a doctor's appointment and they felt like, here, like you're putting them on a, on a throne, right?
But
and they would feel so it's not like a regular,
it is. It's life building. It's life changing. It really is life changing. And just think of it in the context of our own children. We all have great children. But when a child goes a drop out of his way, is a drop more aware, is a drop more sensitive, just a little bit, you talk about it, you get home and you and your wife talk about it for an hour, right? Well, what do you mean? Why? Because it means there's not much that means more than that. A spouse's sensitivity is needed, right? It's pined for, right? A spouse's extra level of awareness and sensitivity, something we desperately want and need, for good reason. But a child's, alachad kama b'kama, many times over. So you're right. And that's why, that's the primary reason we're doing this. We want to make our children aware that the bar is very, very high. The bar is very, very high. Parents tell me, they say, you know what, Nim'asli, I can't take it. I'm in the house with my children, the summer is half over, I can't wait to go home. I can't wait. I can't take it anymore. No, parents who love their children, die for their children, built the house, everybody builds and extends and fixes and says da-da-da-da-da. They say, listen, privately, don't ever repeat this, but I feel like a doormat. I feel like a doormat. I feel trampled on. And it's not a small thing. Not a small thing. How could that be?
And there's hundreds like that.
Huh?
Hundreds of families feel like that.
Hundreds of families feel like that. Nimasli, that's the expression in modern Hebrew. I can't take it anymore. Should that be? Should that be the case? But that's what happens. And that's why we have to have, in my opinion, an iron fist with this. Not because we need or want respect, but because we will build much better, more fulfilled, happier children. That's the point. That's the point. And you know what? You can't do that. You will not do that. You don't like it? Tough. You do it different with your kids. You want your kids to trample on you? Do what you want. But this doesn't work here for me. It doesn't work. And it's very, very important that we reclaim that, not because we need the respect or the reverence, because they need to be the sensitive, aware people that they better be. And it's not working. It's not enough. It's not. And not because they're not great kids. We have the greatest kids. But we're not demanding enough.
How do you juggle that when every parent's barometer of the Morah is different, and you're coming into the deal house with a spouse that her parent's barometer was X, and your parent's barometer is 10X?
Fantastic. You have to be aware of the 10X. You have to be struggling, and you have to make mistakes, huh?
Iron fist.
What?
Iron fist.
Iron fist. Yeah. Listen. Again, we said yesterday that with young spouses, we have to be particularly sensitive because we're growing them, we're building them. Okay, but there's a line. There's a line. There's a line for everybody.
We didn't get to the bottom of that yesterday.
No, we didn't get there. So let's keep going. Okay. All right, let's keep going.
What are the other examples?
Huh? I'm sorry?
The cold plunge and the mohel. Do we ever?
Say that again.
Yesterday we brought two examples.
Right.
The father doesn't want you to jump into a cold lake.
Right.
Like that, and he doesn't want you to.
To be the mohel of your son. Good. We're going to talk. We're getting to all of those. Good. We're getting to all of those. Good. Sorry. What time is it? Yeah, we have time. Okay. Beautiful.
Within
So-
the context of Shaliach for this mitzvah, if a person asks his son, and then that person sends his son to go pick up grandpa,
Right.
is that chiyuv shit? Or even if he sends his younger brother?
Is it downgraded or not? Thank you. Is it downgraded or not? If he sends his younger brother who has the same chiyuv.
Same exact.
I love it. I love it. It's a fantastic question. You hear the question? Say it one more time. Daddy asked me to do it. Right? I couldn't do it. I told my brother to do it, who has the same level of chiyuv vis-a-vis daddy that I have. The question becomes, because he asked me and not him, is there a dilution here?
The dilution might be upon the person that the father requested from, but now the grandson or the younger brother has a chiyuv to the grandfather or father, plus the chiyuv to the older brother or father.
All true. So you might say it's even better to hand it off and do it. I don't know the answer.
And there's no
I don't know
downgrading
the
feeling
answer.
to the parent, probably.
Right.
It depends on that.
Brother to brother, grandson, family, still very
That's the
close.
question. That's the question. There's,
I don't know about that.
that's the point. Right.
I
I'm
think
not sure that
sometimes
the
when
parent
asks the child, he really wants that child.
wants that child. Right.
For whatever reason.
As we're talking, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking. I love the mahalach from a limud point of view. On an emotional point of view, I think the parent would feel disrespected. Yeah. What are you telling him to do?
You already asked him. And
Yeah.
it's
What are you
enough.
telling him to do it for? You're asking from a more limud perspective. I don't know the answer.
It depends.
Great question.
And also go to the emotion and the chinuch aspect of it.
Right. From the emotion. Eddie's going further. He's saying from an emotional and chinuch aspect as well. He's holding that if the brother who was asks his younger brother, or asks his nephew, right, a grandson, yeah, then it's even better because we're spreading the wealth of this mitzvah, right? Am I paraphrasing? I don't know the answer. A very interesting question. I don't know.
The classic case we also ask is if we're at the table and the father says, pass me this, which sibling's obligated to jump up and pass father this item?
Right. Whoever does it first wins.
And we share it. Could I pass it to the brother or pass it to the brother?
Right.
Father
right.
knows which one is going to jump up and do it first.
He knows.
He's waiting for the one that.
He knows. He really does know. He really does know. It's true. Some kids just get it. Some kids get it really, really well. You know, one of the things that I really believe is, and again, it's outside of the context of the text, but it's very important in terms of the overall thing, that the ones who get it best are the ones with the most self-love and self-confidence. That's my personal belief. I don't know if it's universal across the board, but a child who is robust in his or her sense of self-love and self-confidence will much more easily jump to get the thing for the parent than a child who's insecure, because a child who's insecure feels compromised by it. You know, they feel less validated. But the child who's secure, and, he's jumping to do it. No. So, okay. What happens in the case as follows. A father passes away, and the father passes away, the mother is alive, right? Father passes away, the mother is alive. The father, before he passed away, said, after my life, I would like you to do X. The mother is still alive, and she says, please don't do X. Now, okay? Let's read it from inside. He's bringing it from Ibn Ezer. The W is quoting in W and Ibn Ezer, Siman Memhe, Shekatab de Bemet Aviv. Father died. V'sivado la'asot kach, and asked him to do X. B'ratzon imo the hefech. Give me the two sides of the argument. The father told him to do X. Mom wants him to do the opposite. What do? We go according to mom. But what is the question in the context of what we're learning? The father asked him to do X. He's gone. Right? Chacham, what do you want to say?
In death, he gets none of the five.
It's not one of the five. Beautiful, honey. It's not one of the five. So why should I even care about what the father asked? If it's limited to the 5, food, shelter, come, drink, clothing. If it's limited to the 5, right? And the father asked me to do something but is gone, it can't possibly be one of the 5 because he's not here. And if you tell me I have to listen to the mother, it means that there was a consideration to listen to the father. Right? Yeah? Because if there was no consideration to listen to the father, the Shulchan Aruch wouldn't tell me that I have to listen to the mother. So if the Shulchan Aruch tells me that I have to listen to the father, it means that it's outside the context of the 5. It's beyond that. Because it's not physical benefit, bichlal, as you hit, right? It's not that bichlal at all. And that would tell me that because there's a consideration whether to listen to the father who's gone or the mother who's alive, it must mean that you have to listen to the father when he tells you don't buy the field in Oklahoma.
When he's alive.
I don't know. If you have to listen to him when he's gone, don't you have to listen to him when he's alive?
Wait. You have to. I thought you said.
No. We're working, honey. We're working. We're throwing curveballs at this thing because we don't have a bottom line yet. Yeah?
There has to be a Norah aspect after they pass away.
Very good. But if the Shulchan Aruch has to tell me that when Daddy said something unrelated to the 5 or 6 areas, right? When Daddy said something, but Mommy is now saying something in present tense, listen to Mom, it means, mashma, the takeaway is that I would have had to listen to Dad. If Mom didn't object, Chacham, if Mom didn't object, mashma from the Shulchan Aruch that I have to listen to Dad, right?
What do I do when they're both alive?
Huh? Okay, wait, pause. We're going to talk about that. Very nice. Very nice. We're going to talk about that. Don't listen to that bum. Listen to me, son. Right. Okay, we'll talk about that.
The point is to express that. The point isn't to do mechanically, as we said. We're dealing in the spirit of.
Okay, so you would say that based on this, you would say that it's not only the 5 or 6 things, that it's all. We're back into Abe's all category, right? We're back into the all category. And if you're going to tell me that I have to consider what my father said after he died, where he clearly is not getting any physical benefit from it, it means I certainly have to consider it when he's alive, right?
But then if I'm saying the awe is only so I don't cause tzar to the parent, it's only the mother who's alive now.
Huh?
From the awe aspect, I have to do it in order to not cause pain to the parent. The father's not here, the mother's alive to feel the pain. I would have to go with the mother.
Excellent, but why even the question? That's the point. If I have the question, it means that the non-physical requests have to be considered as well. In other words, it's a dihya, it's pushing back against the idea that the non-physical requests are outside of the context of kavod, and maybe even outside of the context of modah. Maybe they are. This comes and says that it's not. It's within the context. I'm sorry?
It can still even be kavod, because we say that you can still give kavod to a person after his death.
Excellent, but if this is kavod, so don't buy the field in Oklahoma, is the person obligated to listen?
No.
What?
Yeah.
Who said no?
Has nothing to do with the father, I thought we said.
But when the father's gone,
It's
Even
not
if he's
it's more
alive.
than the 5 now.
huh?
The field was more than the 5.
The field is outside the
This is
5.
outside the
Perfect,
5,
Joe.
same thing.
And this is outside the 5. Follow the reasoning. Follow the reasoning.
Didn't
Yeah.
we say it has no effect if the father tells you to take your money and let's say buy the field?
Right.
You don't have to listen to him, I thought.
That's what we're back and forth with, right? But now we see that maybe you do have to listen to him, because if a father made a request before he died, right? There's a consideration in the Shulchan Aruch of mom's counter request, and she's alive. But if the father made a request that's outside of the context of the food and drink and shelter, why do I have to consider it altogether? So if you're telling me that I consider it, but the mom's present day consideration is more, it tells me 2 things. A, the non-food and shelter consideration is real. and it tells me the non-food and shelter consideration from mom is real. Doesn't it say that?
Yeah, but we said the bridge. He grabs the money on the bridge. He wants to throw it off the bridge. You're allowed to delay.
Okay, but that's not this case. This is not about money. It's not taking money from somebody. There's no practical element here. Let's just understand it that way. Anyway, point is, this is a pushback.
The request has nothing to do with distribution of assets.
Nothing.
I wanna
Nothing.
be-
Beautiful.
I want to be buried
No.
in this area or something.
No. No taking dollars out of anybody's hand. Okay, so this tells you that, even though it tells you a few things. The kavod of a living person is more important than the kavod of a dead person, right? Therefore, I have to listen to the mother rather than the father, even though generally speaking, I have to, in the context of kavod, I have to listen to the father. But more importantly, for our conversation, it tells you that the request of the father, the non-monetary request of the father, still has to be considered, and therefore I have to do a diyun on it and tell you that no, you listen to the alive mother more. But if the father's non-physical request didn't mean anything, I wouldn't have this conversation altogether. That's the point, yeah.
I think the emphasis is on the intentionality of the doer, and that's what he's trying to emphasize here. And then I guess a follow-up question would be, let's say Lo Aleinu, they're both gone and they had a request for us to do. Do I still have the
Good.
obligation to listen?
What do you want to say based on this?
I would say yes, because it's not for them, it's for us. We have to instill the awe in us, and we still have to teach that to our children. And if we teach our children that, when, God forbid, Lo Aleinu, when mom and daddy are gone, you don't have to listen to me. That's not the point. The point is to instill the awe. The awe.
Very good. So you would say that the purpose of the mitzvah would be downgraded or dismissed if we didn't hold this way.
100%.
Very good. But now you go back to the core question. Do I have to listen to a non-tangible item or not? To a non-serviceable item or not?
Spirit, yes. Halacha.
Sounds like yes. Okay, spirit, yes. Okay, let's go a little further. Right? Mashma from the Shulchan Aruch, because he brought down the case of daddy's request later and mom's present request, and he says go with mom. It's mashma though from him the mechuyab la'asot tzva'ato la'achar moto. Therefore, it means what? He has to do it. If mom didn't object, he would have to do it, right? Beautiful. Therefore, what? Val korchach tezeu inyan kibud shenisab b'divrehem ve'efshar shelu b'klam mora. He's saying you can either tell me then that this is in the context of kavod, which is hard to say because the items quoted in Masechet Kiddushin do not list this, or you're going to move it into the category of morah. But you're still going to tell me, no matter what, that it's quantifiable, that it's actionable, and therefore, based on this, I can't buy the field in Oklahoma. Good, let's keep going. A few more. שצריך ליראה שלא לעבור הסבתם, וזה שייך גם לאחר מיתה. Mora plays even after מיתה. You want to tell me kavod is mashma'oti. It's tangible. It's money. It's like that shelter. No problem. Leave that in the category of kavod. Leave category in the context of while they're alive, because the only time I could fulfill it is when they're alive. And move mora, expand mora, awe or fear, and say clearly that if I'm in awe of fear, the awe of fear extends into when they're no longer here. Very nice. And he brings the gra on this, who says, "En chiluk ben im hu chai o met, mashma she'etzem hadavar, shu shomeh lekol aviv imo, ap davar she'en ha'mana'a yeshira mizeh, ika mitzvah b'chayuv mishum kibud av v'em." The gra would say more than we say. The gra is saying that listening to the non-tangible thing is not in the context of murah, it's in the context of kavod. So he would go all the way back and say that what the Gemara listed was just examples, but it wasn't the boundaries or the limitations. Let's do one more and then we'll pull it all together. Omnam. B'shut Yad Eliyahu katav da'atot divrei haripa. He brings it out. En sevira klal she'eh soter la'avor al hazarat aviv. Good. Af al pi she'en la'av hana'ah b'zeh. Da yoter kasher la'av hatza'ar she'en haben choshes hazarotav v'maknito. This is what you said before. The Shut the Yad Eliyahu brings in the quoting the Rashba And he says, I don't know what you guys are all talking about. I'm paraphrasing, loosely paraphrasing. He said, I don't know what you're talking about. You guys said this earlier. He said, the father is going to be more hurt and insulted by someone not following his wishes than by him not bringing him the cup of coffee. I'm going to read it out from, he says, you mentioned it earlier. There's no logic whatsoever to say that someone could go against the wishes of his father. Even though the father gets no tangible benefit from it. Why? It's harder for the father, the tsa'ar, the pain, that the kid doesn't care about what he says and is insulting him with that. That's more painful to the father, more disrespectful to the father than the fact that he didn't get him the coffee that he asked for. That's the opinion brought here. More so than if he didn't bring in the food. The kevan sha'av makpid al azharato, the kaima or shelo da'avor b'sheva al ta'aseh, hu mamash ikar kibud av. The bazeh atzmo hu oneg v'hana'a la'av asher na'aseh ritzono ayidei haben shelo. It's gorgeous. I think this is gorgeous. He says, you're going to tell me that bringing your father food or drink has more sipuk, more pleasure, more value to the father than not listening to his general guidance? He says that's completely wrong. Doing something mechanical is appreciated. But when your father weighs in on something and he tells your son, please, don't do this. He says, don't do this. That's essential. That's talking about your father's essence and the relationship completely. That's much more impactful, according to this opinion. I'm going to read you the words again, because they're very important. It's harder for the father, the pain. That the son is not suspect, sensitive, aware to his warnings, and is debasing him, is disrespecting him in that sense, more than him not bringing him the cup of coffee. Says, of course it's worse. I'm giving you my life value and thoughts and sensitivity and experience. That's more important to me. And the foundation of our respect is more based in that than it is if you're bringing me the cup of coffee. That the Rashba is saying, come on, guys, get serious here. Yeah? Good. And then he says, T'kevan da'av makpid al azharato l'kaima o shelo la'avor b'sheva al ta'aseh. He says, it goes one step further. He says, not only is it important to the father that the person does it, he says it also would be greatly hurtful to the father if the person did not do it, but just ignored it. Sheva al ta'aseh. Maybe the son says, okay, I'm not going to not do it, but I'll leave it for now. Daddy will forget about it. I'll leave it, he'll forget about it. Okay, Daddy gave me one of his things, leave it for now, he'll forget about it. He says, that's not maknit, that doesn't gravely disrespect the father. He says, turn the whole thing on its head. We gave you the most banal requirements when we listed them in the Gemara and Shulchan Aruch. We gave you the banal things. We gave you the base things. But because we didn't talk about the more obvious, because it's so obvious. I don't have to tell you that what your father's guidance or advice is more important than bringing him the sandwich. That's what the Rashba was saying. I don't have to tell you. That's pashut. And therefore, the Gemara didn't have to list it because it was obvious. Right? Awesome. It's an awesome opinion. Let's go now with the final opinion of the Hazon Ish, who I think wraps it up beautifully. He says that Hazon Ish brings on another area where it's referenced in the Shulchan Aruch in Yoreh De'ah. He says, Yesh badavar gimel chilukim. We have three distinctions here, three delineations. Ikar, mitzvat kibud hu ma'achila mashkeu, kamo shekatav. Okay? The primary one, according to the Chazon Ish, is food and drink and the basic core needs that you have to take care of for your father. Nothing, open shut case, nothing to talk about. Bet, he says, יש חיוב לבן לציית לאביו ולאמו גם בדבר שאין להם הנאה מדין כיבוד ומורא. He says it like we were referencing. He says, but because the term mora, or the obligation of mora, of awe or fear, was also directly commanded to in the Chumash, in the Torah, because of that, there's an obligation to listen to the father and mother in the context of that. Yesh chiyuv leben tzayet la'aviv v'limo gam b'dvar she'em lahem hana'ah. Even with something that they're not getting a benefit from because of morah. Yeah? Very logical. We said this, right? We said, if you're not going to put it in the context of kavod, put it in the context of morah. But then he says, Mikol makom en ze ikar mitzvah. והחילוק בין זה למאכילו משקהו הוא כאין מה שכתוב התוספות בשבועות, לחלק בין שיעור לחצי שיעור שגם הוא אסור מעשר. It's gorgeous. This is gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Let's wrap with this. He says, when we give a minimum shiur, right? Chacham, we give a minimum shiur, right? On something, right? Midoraita, we give a minimum shiur, right? Like stealing is shaveh piruta, right? Midoraita is the person chayav on a violation if it's chatzi shiur. Answer is yes. No, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. The answer is yes. And he brings it here. He says like this. לחלק בין שיעור לחצי שיעור, שגם הוא אסור מן התורה. He says like this, and let's wrap it here. If you're going to tell me, you're going to give all this pilpul, right? And you tell me, listen to me. The Torah listed kavod. The Gemara brought down what the areas of kavod are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Brought them down, right? Good. The Shulchan Aruch followed suit and listed those. This other stuff, buying the field in Oklahoma or not, so to speak, is clearly outside the context of those. But what is he bringing down here that's beautiful? And he brings he's bringing a Tosafot in Shavuot on this. He says, even if you're going to tell me it's Chatzi Shi'ur, even if you're going to tell me that this is shi'ur, there's a measurement of kavod, of kibud avayim from the Torah, call this chatzi shi'ur. And when we say in the context of the oraita of a biblical commandment, chatzi shi'ur kishi'ur dame, the half measure, even if you're going to call this less quantifiable, less substantive, not black and white, you can't ignore it. He says, I'm going to force it back into the category of kavod, and I'm going to call it chatzi shi'ur. I'm going to call it a lesser quantifiable measure, but it ain't nothing, and therefore call it a chatzi shi'ur, a half a measure. A chatzi shi'ur midoraita is chayav. You're obligated. So,
like eating a crumb on Yom Kippur.
Even a crumb on Yom Kippur may be less than a chatzi shiur. I don't know. I don't know how big the crumb is and this, that. מקום אחר, הערכנו בדין זה את כיפור אביהם, בדבר שאין בו תועלת אישית אביהם, וכתבנו דיקרין דם במזם קוראה, okay, 1 second. היינו, בכל חצי שיעור עיקר החיוב יש, רק שהוא חיסרון בכמות ובשיעור. He says, if there's zero hana'ah to the parent, I'm not going to even call it a chatzi shiur. It's beautiful, right? If there's no hana'ah to the parent, don't force it into the category of a half measure and tell me I'm obligated to a half measure midoraita. It's not even a half measure. But if the parent weighs in on it, it means he or she cares about it, and therefore call it a half measure if you want, but it's still an obligation. So, as we wrap up this area, we will say as follows, that you can either say it's obligated to, from the context of kavod, black and white, obligation. You're going to tell me it's not listed. You're right. I'm going to go to the spirit and not the practical. And I'm going to tell you either it's not listed but it's obvious because when I bring my father something, I'm fulfilling his wishes, and that's no different from when he asks me not to do something or to do something that's not quantifiable with me serving him a cup of coffee or a plate of food. So De'ah number one is, it falls in the black and white category of kavod. There's nothing to talk about. And the things that the Gemara brought down were simply examples, but they're not limitations. It's not limited to. Opinion A. Opinion B. Not true. The Gemara brings what it brings. Shulchan Aruch brings what it brings. Anything outside of that, I don't have to listen to. Oh, you want to listen to it? You can put it in the category of either Hatzi Shi'ur, right? Half a measure, so to speak, or in the category of Morah, of awe or fear, yeah, or in the category of awe or fear, or in the category of Midat Chasidut. But that means that you could also not listen. So there's clearly an opinion that says that you don't have to listen. We're going to go with the opinions that I think are, when you put them all together, represent more of a majority perspective. You can clearly go and say that it's not in the hardcore black and white structure of Kibbutz Avim.